Hello, welcome to the program Big Talk on Global TV. My name is Topsy Gimba. Big Talk is a program that comes to you at about this time, and we do it every day from Monday to Sunday, where we look into issues, analyze them in the best interest of those who are watching us right now. Of course, we are on DSTV channel 365 and start time 276. It gives me that pleasure as well to invite Pastor to be with us in the studio. I want to tell you indeed that we have a ranking Nigerian who is into politics for a very long time. He's going to join us on this program via Zoom or whichever apps we're going to use to reach out to him in the person of Peter Ame. Peter Ame was one time the chairman IPAC. IPAC simply means Inter-Party Advisory Council, where many political parties that have contested or intend to contest election in the country, they will now choose their chairman that relates. That chairman now stands to be the person that will be relating with INEC and then feeding INEC what the political parties are really doing. And so at the point he became that particular chairman for that particular period in time, he's going to join us to talk about good governance in this country. And I want to find out basically what are those things that are supposed to point out as indicators that a country is really enjoying, or the citizens of a particular country are really enjoying. It becomes the issue to be discussed by the time I yield the microphone to him by calling him to join us on this most important discussion on Big Talk this evening. So don't go away. Stay tuned. After this short break, he joins us on the discussion. Yeah, like I said from the beginning, when I began the introduction of this program, I told you I have a respected Nigerian, a politician. I told you that indeed, at the point in time, he served as chairman IPAC, and in the person of Peter Ame. Peter Ame is a non-politician in Nigeria. He also belongs to CUPP, and he's going to join us to talk about good governance in this country. You all know that there are indicators in the country to tell us that indeed the citizens are really enjoying. But those who are into the politics, who have been participating in politics for a long time, they know whether or not we're really enjoying. So he comes in, he tells us basically what it stands for by having good governance in a given country like Nigeria. And so let me just introduce my guest, Peter Ame, former chairman, IPAC. It's a pleasure having you on the program Big Talk this evening, sir.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here with you. My name is Chief Peter Ame. I'm the former national chairman of the Interparty Advisory Council, IPAC, and current national secretary of Coalition for United Political Party, COP.
Okay. By your introduction, it's very clear that indeed you are a politician, aren't you?
No, I'm a politician. I've been in this issue of politics, for being a political activist and advocacy, and participating in the issues that has to do with creating good governance and creating electoral, transparency in our electoral process for a very long time.
Okay, so let me just find out from you. Right now, you are a member of CUPP. Can you give us the full meaning of CUPP? And is it a political party registered by INEC or just an association known by some other persons?
So CUPP is a coalition of a group of political parties that came together to try to form common fronts on how to drive, opposition in to keep light on those in government and keep them checked. I just act as a checker against those in government. That's why it's called a Coalition of United Political Parties.
Okay, Coalition of United Political Parties.
Yes.
Can you tell us? For how long have you been doing that? This coalition was it formed only at this administration, or it has been existent for
administration under Buhari? But our spokesman is actually the House of Reps now. There was a person who was our spokesman. Ikenga Imo Igochie is now representing that on out as South Federal House of Reps. Our former chairman was former governor of Lagos State, Olagunsoye Oyinlola. Then I'm the national secretary.
Okay. Long before you became the national secretary of the CUPP, like the way you are, from the introduction, categorically, you were chairman of IPA. That's chairman Interparty Advisory Council.
Right. Interparty Advisory Council. I was two-time national secretary of Interparty Advisory Council. I was two-time national chairman of Interparty Advisory Council of Nigeria, IPA.
Yes. So what were you doing there? I mean, forming a council. What were your mandates, or what are your mandates as a party?
The council was not formed by me. The council was formed by International Republican Institute, Democratic Institute, from the United States, INEC, other international bodies that were looking at how, and with political parties in cooperation. Political parties then in the country was about 96. It was formed earlier 2007-8 or so, when the document IPAC is not only indigenous to Nigeria. You have IPAC in Ghana, you have IPAC in Sudan. So it was done to do a warehouse for multi-democratic coalition. Advisory was formed by INEC, International Republican Institute, political parties, and other international agencies. So it's not Nigeria is not the first place that it happened. That happened in Ghana before it got to Nigeria. Ghana had a template for running the party advisory council before it got to Nigeria.
Okay, I think Mr. Peter Ame, or Chief Peter Ame, let me be precise at the way you introduce yourself. I know most people are just hearing your voice and watch your picture, a still picture on the screen. but they don't know basically where you are calling us from. That should have been the first thing probably for us to have done before you got started. But there's nothing wrong. You can see while talking, you can tell us basically, are you in Abuja or in Lagos or in London or anywhere in the world?
No, I came in very late. I'm in Abuja right now. So
okay.
That's like lovely with you.
Okay, that's very good. It's important to establish this for those who are really watching us on the screen. But let me ask you this question, Chief Peter Ame. For the fact that you have IPAC and you play a role as chairman, can one say that you too are a politician?
No, I've been a politician. I've been the national chairman of a registered political party in Nigeria.
Fine.
I've been a politician for quite some time. I've done several other services and all that. In fact, I've served in oil and gas money under Goodluck Jonathan. So I'm a politician, as a businessman and a politician. So there's no doubt if I'm described as a businessman and a politician, it's a weird fit.
Okay, that's quite very interesting, sir. The most important thing here is to find out from you. We are talking about good governance in Nigeria, and I think this topic appears to be very, very relevant by what you have been doing and what is happening today in this country. In your own perception, and as a Nigerian and as well a politician, can you just tell us basically whether or not good governance can be obtained, or is it attainable as we speak right away?
Yeah, good governance is something that is obtainable if we have selfless, leaders who are committed to making sure they create an environment that we, boost the lives of the ordinary masses. Oftentimes, why citizens often bear the blame. It's blunt blame for societal ills. If you look at the closer examination, it reveals that the cause of Nigeria's stagnation lies squarely with the leadership of the country. Because you can't blame those who have never participated in running a government. So good leadership, when leadership plays a major role. Nigeria has one of the greatest potential in any part of the world, any country of the world. We are very agile youth. 60% of our youth force are youthful. Our young population are youthful. Then you have about, a situation where we have fertile arable land of close to 34 million hectares. So we have a challenge that leadership has been a problem. That if we get our leadership issue right, then we'll be able to get governance right. And good governance is not a rocket science. Nobody should be, make it look as if we are trying to invent a rocket that will go to Mars. Good governance is about, physical responsibility, physical discipline, management of public resources, and using public resources for public good, using public resources to develop for the benefit of the general populace who are supposed to be, the masses of the country. So these are what good governance is. When you are supposed to put money into infrastructure like healthcare, you are supposed to put money into good roads that enable transportation of goods and services and ease movement of people from one location to the other. You are supposed to make sure that we have hospitals that can, cater for the needs of our people in every of the 774 local government. You are supposed to be able to have educational system that does not further impoverish our people, or does not give them education that will be useless after getting out of school. Educational system that is driven by technology and every other aspect. These are part of the good governance. And if you look at the constitutional definition of government in Nigeria, and in our constitution, it says the primary purpose of government is to provide security and welfare of the people. So if we macro zone the definition to that level, if you look at security, that means if there's safety of life and property, then the people will prosper. If there's welfare for the people will see comfort in the provision of what government has provided. Because you can't talk about government that cannot afford to give its people basic amenities like pipe and water, good roads, and all the other necessity of life. Then you find out that the government, those in government are living a luxurious lifestyle. They are spending public money for personal good, for buying luxurious cars, buying latest cars from foreign countries, not reinvesting the resources here, buying yachts and buying private jets. These are the consequences of bad leadership. And this bad leadership therefore puts more pressure on current expenditure. And when they put pressure on recurrent expenditure, instead of capital expenditure that would have had a direct impact on the larger populace, it will be having direct impact on very micro food people who are the major beneficiary because they are in government. So the cause of our problem is leadership, and this leadership takes from inactions of those who are the aim of affairs. who perpetuate the cycle of poverty, decay, underdevelopment. Despite the countries have abundant natural and human resources, poor governance has squandered our opportunities. A lot of Nigerians know this is true. Poor governance has squandered our opportunities, leaving Nigerians far behind its potentials. Nigeria is a very resourceful country, resourceful people. We could make anything possible. Go to everywhere in the world. Look at the marks that Nigerians are making. Nigerian medical doctors abroad are having A1 rating. Nigerian technology experts abroad are having A1 rating. But my point of argument is that the leaders, not the led, are primary architects of Nigerian failure. If you draw from historical patterns and comparative insight to underscore this point, Nigeria started from a point where agricultural products like cocoa, groundnut was the mainstay of our economy. That people survived our cocoa. A lot of infrastructures were built with these resources. Only for subsequent leaders to jettison such investment and go into oil because of the oil boom and try to get resources without micromanaging it and prioritizing the welfare of the people, and then use these resources to. That's why Nigeria is known all over the world as headquarters of corruption. Because our public officials are greedy. So good governance is not a difficult thing. If resources, if budgets are made, and if these budgets are made, and these budgets are used for the purpose of which they are set out of, you will see Nigeria would have been in heaven. When did Dubai start? In the 90s, Dubai was just like a mere desert. Today, look at what Dubai has done to. Dubai is now not just an oil-based territory. It has had one of the highest tourism potentials in the world, where you have more money from non-oil products. So we need to, the genesis of Nigeria's problem can be traced directly to the unethical practices of our leaders, particularly the widespread embezzlement of public funds. Since the independence in 1960, you will look at it as successive administrations have treated the nation's treasury as a personal piggy bank. So we want to get this right. We want to do what is right. We will stop these people from diverting billions meant for public welfare into private coffers. That is just the basic thing, because we make budget every time from budget were in millions in the 80s, they run into billions in the 90s, now they're in trillions, and yet there's no positive effect on the life of the people. So it is not the budget or the money that is the problem. It is the lack of prioritizing the cost of the expenditure and looking at how to make sure that the socioeconomic disparities are treated to favor the interest of the people. So the consequences of
let me ask you this question, Chief Peter Ame. When did you get to notice this infraction in government where people are not well treated? Because with, democracy returned to this country since 1999 by my calculation should be like 25 years down the line. At what point did you realize that leaders don't do exactly what they should do, or is it worse at this time, or it was worse right from the beginning to where we are today?
No, when we got into government in 1999 with President Olusegun Obasanjo, we must give leaders their fair share, and we must praise them when the need arises, and also say the truth when the need arises. In 1999, the debt to the GDP service ratio for servicing our debt when we got in was 75%. When Olusegun Obasanjo ran around the whole world and pleaded for debt relief to try to restructure the Nigerian financial structure system and remove us from spending chunk of our national budget in debt service, before leaving office in 2007-2008, it has reduced the cost of the debt servicing percentage ratio to 7.5. So we now started again. For now, as I speak to you, that debt servicing ratio is almost crossing about 50% again. It has gone from 7.5 to 50. So and you look at what Yar'Adua did. There was some acceptance of trying to review the electoral processes to, re-engine the electoral process of the country. And because it's critical, when people can't elect their leaders, if people force themselves from the country, if people are not going to go through transparent and credible electoral process, there's no way you can expect them to commit to responsible leadership. Because the people never chose them. Because you can have mandate without legitimacy. So you look at what Yar'Adua did. He came up with the idea, settled the Niger Delta crisis, tried to restructure a process that would be more transparent and responsible to the people. Jonathan came, tried to do the fuel subsidy issue, when he was doing the fuel subsidy issue, he brought some palliative and brought some mitigative safeguard that will make sure that the removal of fuel subsidy does not have negative reverse effect on the people by bringing buses, shopping buses and all that. But today you can see, by May 29, 2023, when the fuel subsidy was removed, if the fuel was about 197, it didn't skyrocketed. Dollar was 400 and something. Today we look at dollar 1,200. The issue with leadership is more difficult today, especially from the time APC took over till today. I've never been a member of the PDP, never. I've never joined the PDP. So you can see that they are taking decision arbitrarily without proper consultation, without proper safeguard. The decision might be good. The intent and purpose of the decision might be to be able to help the country. But if there are no safeguards, if there are no policy plans, to be able to make sure that this policy does not reverse to become a negative effect on the people. That was why the fuel subsidy remover, impromptu and hastily done, increased the cost of living, increased the cost of transportation by 300%. And the cost of transportation have negative and diverse effects on the cost of living, because you have to have the cost of transporting goods and services will go up. And if these costs go up, it will be transferred to the end users, who out of pocket expenses will increase. So these are the challenges of policy, proper policy framework before a decision is taken.
Okay.
So today we have a situation where governance is no longer responsible and governance is not committing to doing microeconomic policies that will change the life of the people.
Okay. To avoid singing Kumbaya in the street by saying some people maybe must have really done well and others are not doing well. Let me just ask you this pertinent question, because the late president Shehu Yar'Adua foresaw this and worked so hard to ensure that certain things that needed to build the economy of this country should be put in place. One of those things was to establish in 1979 steel rolling mills scattered all over the country. We had one in Kogi, as well as in Katsina, and then in Plateau, that's in Jos. But today, some of these companies, these steel rolling mill companies we have scattered in this country all over the place, nothing precisely has actually come up to where we are. It was intended to see how best Nigeria can now develop itself to become a revolutionary country like any other in Europe or in Asia. But today we are still crawling. He foresaw this, and in fact it was important to do that. But subsequently, when leadership came, those who took over power from him to where we are still struggling with this. In your own opinion, what else can we really do so that we get back to where we're supposed to have been as a nation?
As no nation will survive without a robust steel industry. The intention to set up those steel factories were very good intentions. There are intentions that we should be happy that the leaders at the time took that decision. But it has become something that has now become a negative effect on our people. We are not. What is the benefit that we are getting? Let me take it for instance, that the good rolling steel center. What I'm telling you is that today that has got trillions of Nigerian money in attempt to revive it, without nothing coming out of it.
Okay. Chief Peter Ame.
We are putting a lot of money into a steel complex. It is necessary that we have to look for a way to dismantle and rebuild that thing, because the infrastructure there are no longer meeting up with the current technology infrastructure that they use for all those steel complexes. It should have been a cornerstone of Nigerian industrial ambition, but it has become a monument of failure. That is the truth. So we need to be able to look for proper PPP, public-private partnership investors, bring them in on board, discuss the legal framework properly, re-establish them so that they can start to work.
Chief Peter, let me ask you this question so that you flow together. You made an observation that we either dismantle it, or we should even dismantle it. Is that what you are saying?
Yes, we should dismantle.
Are you talking about this? Are you talking about dismantling the Ajaokuta steel rolling mill because we have obsolete machines, or because much money is being expended into it and no result Is that what you're saying?
Because the machines are obsolete. They are no longer useful, and they have never been put on. And for what I hear from technical engineers is that when you put them on, putting them off is going to be a problem because of the nature of the kind of technology that was used. So what we should do is you look at even the private partnership of what is happening in India or what is happening in the global steel industry, and then look for investors that we can dismantle and put a 21st century steel complex in place in the same location, so that we can have a steel industry that can boost our economy and then give us an opportunity to grow. So I think that should be dismantled and a new one should be restructured based on private and public partnership. Because look at today. Are you bemoaning the idea of having a Comatose steel rolling mill because of so much money have been pumped into it and no result, or is it because you are just a politician and you feel it is important for us to keep spending money on a project that cannot actually bring about any revenue? It does not really worth it. So I just want to find out your stand. Are you standing on the ground that the much money has been expended, and then if much money has been expended, what do we do with so much money that has been expended over time to where we are today? Because if you go to the National Assembly, for instance, you meet the Committee on Steel, Iron and Steel, they will tell you the Ajaokuta Steel Rolling Mill is almost 90% completion. If that happens like the way they are saying it, if we now suggest that we should dismantle it, to what extent has it actually benefited with so much money that has been expended into that particular project? When we are dismantling it, we are dismantling that corruption, that corrupt infrastructure that keeps that place alive, that are sustaining even while it's not working, that corrupt interest that are make sure that we cannot go forward. We will dismantle it. Today, you have a private refinery working, while the Nigerian refineries where billions of dollars have been pumped in are not working to bring out 1 liter of PMS. So we have a situation that when you have a country that people, when a bird try to learn to fly without perching, the other will learn to shoot without missing. So we need to reinvent the state of will, the governance system of managing our economy, and bring in people who can properly manage the steel complex and build new machinery that can generate jobs and create opportunity for our people. Because the money, the billions of dollars invested and into the survival of that steel complex that have never worked should have been used to be able to establish a thriving agricultural settlement with our 34 million fertile land. We should not be putting resources in where that will not generate profit. We should not be putting resources that will continue to impoverish our people and put Nigeria in more debt, because these resources sometimes are borrowed. These resources sometimes we service the debt on it. So we need to be able to be a little bit proactive and stop being reactive and be spending unnecessary money on something that the dead bone cannot rise when it comes to Ajaokuta Steel Complex. Yeah. I'm from Kogi State. Yeah. It is to my benefit to continue to speak that they retain that thing even if it is in the worst state condition. The Minister of Steel is from my senatorial district. In fact, people will hear, why is he fighting his brother? But this is not about brother. This is about our country. This is about the issue that the resources that we are putting there could have been used to establish a culture of benefit for our society. Could have been used to establish, even if it's a rail station that takes resources from Kogi to Lagos. So we must be able to look at the resources that are being wasted there. So it is an obsolete technology that is no longer relevant in this period. Okay. Your research, you will discover that we need to step up our game. Yeah,
Chief Peter Ame, time is not the same like the way it used to be in the past, and things are not the same as it is today. Because from your own discussion, I made to understand categorically that you are looking at how Obasanjo started, Yaradua, Jonathan, and even to Buhari, to where we are today. Things have dramatically changed. But again, I want to point out a very most important philosopher who we call Reverend Thomas Matthews. In his own analysis on the scale of importance of issues, he now said that people should understand that the population is growing geometrically, is galloping. Meanwhile, the agricultural production is calculated mathematically, meaning that the population is higher than what we produce. And that's the more reason why when you look at the budget of what used to be in the past, probably during Obasanjo or either Yaradua or Jonathan or Buhari, like the way it is, we are putting it in trillion, while they were doing it then in billion. Looking at the growth of the population, what would have expected this administration to do?
What I've said is that despite the increase in budget costing, the fact that the fact that it does not have positive impact on our lives means something is wrong somewhere. The issue with our government is that every government thinks that it's about their political party. PDP think that it was about their political party. Today is APC. APC is trying to disconnect themselves from the achievement that PDP has achieved instead of the continuous reinvestment in those sectors. The fact remains that they need to understand whether Party B, Party D, Party F gets into power. We must develop our country like what South Korea has done, China is doing, a long-term developmental plan, whether we have a short-term, medium-term, or long-term developmental plan. These objectives are critical so that every government that comes continue from there. If you have a rail station that is going to take 20 years to build, let it be part of our developmental objective. So this is where we have disconnect from. We don't have a continuous level of government partnership from one government to the other. We have everybody who is trying to, and that's why you find out that we no longer have pipe-on water. Pipe-on water no longer exists in Nigeria. Why? Because every government wants a project that you will do and complete before leaving. That's why you will prefer to do 32 boreholes in the state. It's rather than saying, oh, let's have a pipe-on integrated water system across the state that will take 10 years to complete. These are the challenges of the myopic, unreasonable set of leaders that we have.
Chief Ahmed, let's take, for instance, looking at the mate of this country, for a country to just be a consuming nation that does not really produce, and the population grows almost geometrically, to what extent can you feel that the government will be able, at this particular point in 21st century, we're still struggling, at what point in time do you think we're able to catch up so that at the end of the day, the desired results that we intend to get or we're thinking about will now come to us at the end of the day?
It's very simple. If you see what I have written about Thailand and Ghana, about their investment in coconut, if you have seen it, you will know that Nigeria is supposed to be the warehouse of food production in the world. Because we have 34 million fertile hectares of land, with 60% of our youth idle. So agriculture has the shortest gestation period for any investment in the world. So if we put our resources in agriculture, instead of these billions of naira that the Mr. Wale Edu have claimed to have shared to Nigerians, we would have put our people back to work, to turn our cocoa farming back, bring it back alive, start to plant palm trees, start to now go into non-oil investment, especially in the agricultural sector. Today you have cassava. When cassava has a lot of byproduct today, from ethanol to starch to all this from medicine. So we can go back there so that Nigeria can start to become a productive state, because what Nigeria has is what most countries does not have. We can consume our production. We have the capacity for the human capital investment, manage that our resources. We have the fertile land and resources to be able to use to create wealth. Okay, so these are the things Nigeria has. Chief
Ahmed, if you look at the mate of this country, Nigeria particularly, fertilizer ordinarily as it is, which we believe we use raw materials here to produce it. But at the end of the day, and we know we have 2 seasons in a year. We have the rainy season and the dry season. And they want to go back to farming. We want to go back to farming so as we're able to feed the population. The government will make promise of giving fertilizer to farmers as when due. Rain will start falling by April, as new rain will start by April, for instance. And crops have begun being planted. And somebody keeps telling you that it's going to give you fertilizer. And April will now go by. Then we're into May, into June, and probably somebody comes in and gives you fertilizer maybe at the month of August or either July or August to do what with it. That's another thing. Now you now look at the insecurity that we have all over the place. Where do you go to do this work? When you move about 1 kilometer or 2, you're almost becoming a victim.
That is the ineffectiveness intelligence of governance we talked about. If government really today decide that this bandit will not exist, I'm very sure they will not exist. Because the level of waste in the national security fund that they are spending. People have national security money that they are using across the state and at the federation. Where is the money going into? So we need to have sincere leaders. If we have sincere leaders, I don't think security is going to be a challenge. We have that manpower. I grew up in a system where in the military system, and I know that we have enough military personnel. We have enough capacity. If we treat them well, if we take their welfare as very seriously, that they will stop this deteriorating security situation. So one of the things you should know is that you talk about how to be able to see that population is increasing. Farming system has changed. There's a greenhouse farming. There's dry season farming today. Technology has gone beyond that. We have the institution in Nigeria that are one of the best institutions. One is in Ibadan and Co. They can generate seedlings that can even grow during dry season, and we do off-season farming system. So it's not an issue. Technology has gone beyond that. Today you find people farming in Saudi Arabia, there's people farming in Dubai. So it's no longer an issue. All we need to do is that government must be committed to making sure that they do what is right, to make sure that people have the benefit of having the access to resources, having the access to mechanized machinery at no cost, at no interest rate, free of interest, instead of sharing this money that will be wasted. And two, you talk about fertilizer. We have had a model. Nigerians have what they call it selective amnesia, especially those in government. We have had a model that worked with fertilizer distribution in this country. It was held by United Nations. It was held by all over the world by Mr. Femi Adesina, the former Minister of Agriculture, under Goodluck Jonathan. They created a telephone system, network system, where fertilizer were distributed directly to farmers. The corruption was killed. Before then, the corruption was massive in the fertilizer distribution chain for between federal government and the end farmers. So we need to revert back to that policy and call him, because he's a Nigerian. We cannot say this government is APC. No, we don't want anything with the former person in PDP. We don't do that. We need to bring his team back so that we can get fertilizer to the farmers, so that we can get all the necessary equipment and everything to the farmers. There are other been policies that have failed. There have been Anko Bora scheme under Buhari that failed woefully, because the Anko Bora scheme was messed with corruption, was messed with stealing of public funds, because it was not properly structured. Somebody said he's one that is bringing 500 farmers. He's the anchor. So they give him money to share for 500 farmers. The fictitious 500 farmers that no longer exist, because he's the one that submitted to them. So we need to go back to the ones that have worked, models that have been used, that were able to reach farmers. Because with expansion, if people like Thailand can survive and make so much money from coconut, the byproduct and every other thing, including coconut milk and all that, then Nigeria can do better, because we have more fertile land than Thailand combined. We even have a land that we can even borrow Ghana. Ghana that is making so much from coconut today, we can borrow them land out of our land, because we are endowed, we are blessed. So we should take advantage of the endowment that government have been giving to us as the opportunity to be able to create prosperity and create a balanced society for our people. Because I told you before, what Nigeria has is what most people don't have. We have the human resources, we have the natural resources, and we have the capacity to be able to drive these resources to a successful and beneficial conclusion. So it is left for our people, those in government who are supposed to give leadership, to really give leadership to make sure that our society survive. Because we cannot continue to live the way we are living and continue to depend on one mono product, which is crude oil, which Nigeria has. Nigeria has other opportunity to create wealth, to create job. Because if we continue with this growing youth population that has gotten to a level of 60%, and we cannot provide for them, we can't create jobs for them. Other countries like US and other countries are now rejecting migrants. Then we are in for big trouble in the future. It will be catastrophic if we do not plan today. The consequences in the future will be something that we'll be afraid to be able to contain. So it is necessary for the benefit of the leaders who think that continuous pilfering of our public resources is the best way to safeguard the future of their own children. If they don't know, those children that they have abandoned, that they have refused to safeguard their future, those children that they have now refused to give the benefit of a better society, will become the albatross to their children in the future. So it is better for them, even if we cannot attain a egalitarian society, as people say, we should be able to, push towards achieving it, which will be able to give balance to a society. Today, you have a school system that is not well equipped. You have a school system that we don't have foreign students in our. The only best way you know how functional your educational system is when other people come from other countries to come and study. I've been in school for the last 10 years, doing masters and PhD. You cannot see foreign students in all of our schools. Foreign students don't come. But you go to Ghana, Benin Republic, there are a lot of foreign students, Cameroon, all over the world. So Nigeria is declining in the educational system. Nigeria is declining in agricultural system. Nigeria is declining in a lot of ways. It is time to declare an emergency in this area, and not just to continue to declare political emergency in Rivers State and other places. It is time to declare a national emergency in economic reinvestment processes that will change the life of our people.
Okay, honestly, you have painted a litany of sorrows for some of us, as if you are edging me towards hell, sort of. If you are given the opportunity to really prefer solution for the fact that you are active in politics and you are still very active in politics, assuming you were to be elected, to become what you should have become, assuming, what would you have done differently than what we are seeing today?
In my discussion with you, I clearly state the things that will be done. First, you
as a politician, for instance, which of course you have had the opportunity.
I will drag the intention of the government from concentrating on the one mono product. I will make sure, one, that the number of the number of crude oil that is pumped in Nigeria by day is made public for all Nigerians to see. It's not going to be a secret court arrangement. I will make sure that our meters, our pumping system for our crude oil is metered. It's metered like everywhere in the world, because we are the only oil producing country, one of the oil producing countries in the world that has no metering system for the crude oil being pumped in our country. Two, I will go back to the era before we discovered oil. I will go back to the cocoa investment in the southwest. Make sure that the north, which has majority of the fertile arable land, to go back to farming, and then give enough resources and create cluster farm that will be able to help us to regenerate our economy and reinvent the society, so that today, as a government, the greatest contributor to our inflationary figure is food inflation. Nigeria should not be having that. Nigeria should be talking about other inflation, not food inflation. So I will invest more in cassava, cocoa, in coconut, in palm trees, so that we will have enough revenue generation sector coming from the agricultural angle. When Nigerians will be gainfully employed, Nigerians will have more opportunities to serve their country. Nigerians will have more facility to have health care, to have pipe-on water. This is the kind and I will develop a 10-year, 20 years developmental plan that will be passed through the National Assembly, passed through the two-thirds of the State Assembly, and put in the Constitution. And the process of reviewing that developmental plan will take a two-thirds of the National Assembly, and the same process to reverse it, so that it will be so difficult and become mandatory that every successful government must follow that path, so that we can have a stable agenda for national development, just like China is doing, just like every other country has done. Okay. That is the only way we can get it right.
Okay, Chief Peter Ahmed, marry our situation right now. The delegation being led by the Vice President to United Nations General Assembly, they're already in New York attending the ongoing UNGA. And you listen to the speech made by Donald Trump, the President of America. Of course, he's attacking the globalization of the world to a populist system of government by making sure that immigration policies are not considered to be of something to be embraced like the way it used to be in the past, which means that countries that are struggling economically are likely going to face a very serious challenge going forward. And we have begun seeing that because some of these aids that we used to receive from the United States of America they have been withdrawn categorically, leaving us to struggle on their own. So do you see Nigeria having its own presidential representation? They are led by the Vice President Kashim Shettima, who actually sell Nigeria in the way that at the end we are going to have a turning point and then make things different like they were used to be in the past.
I'm not in doubt of his capacity to speak, very well. He was a banker before he joined the politics, so he has an idea of what the economy is all about, and I'm not in doubt of that at all. But for him, what I want him to do is not to look at what the independent nations are doing to try to safeguard their country from illegal immigration, or even free, open immigration, legal immigration. Well, what he should be looking at is how Nigerians can be more beneficial, so that we can stop the brain drain, because America is benefiting hugely from the intellectual know-how of Nigerians that have moved to the country. The statistics are very positive. So he needs to look at how do we do that, so that we know our diasporas who have who have contributed so much in repatriating foreign currencies to our country, should be able to have a place to call home when they want to really truly invest in this country. So you need to be able to look at how we can do our own local scheme to bring us security to save our country, because we can't depend on the police. We look for a global police to come and save us. We need to be able to save our country. So he has to look at all these things and put them into proper beneficial perspective for the country, and then come back and then come and run it. Because the global stage, every country, despite you have the United Nations, it is still the interest of the country that is paramount. And Nigeria, our foreign policy has been that Africa is the centerpiece of our foreign policy. But we need to start to look a little bit to say that Nigeria is also piece of our foreign policy. Because if we don't get Nigeria right, Africa will continue to have this disadvantage and disrespect that is getting from the international stage. So you need to know that Nigeria is critical. Nigeria is very important to the Community of African Nations. So you need to take that at the back of his mind while discussing any issue, whether bilateral or whatever discussion of business he wants to have. So that when we come back, we need to open up our system, encourage local investors to be able to, go into proper production of mechanized equipment, and then go look for a way to make sure that our agro-allied products takes over the international market, so that Nigerians will no longer be a laughing stock. People no longer point arm to us with the left arm, so that when they come for this thing, our exports to this country will increase, in a way that the countries will start to now give us respect. People don't give you respect because you have big size. People don't give you respect because you can talk better. People give you respect for what you can do to better the life of your people, and also, what they can benefit from interacting with you. I can't have a country that I'm running today, and I want to interact with you, and you have nothing to offer. So what is the bilateral arrangement for? What is the partnership for? So Nigerians must be able to make sure that we up our potentials, so that we will be attractive to global communities where they want more, from the opportunities that are inherent in our country.
Okay, talking about good governance, as we are creeping towards the end part of the program, but before that happens, talking about good governance, look at the way National Assembly is really doing as an arm of government. Over time, every assembly, whenever it comes on board, like the way the 10th Assembly is, they will be talking about amending the Nigerian Constitution, and then they'll be gallivanting the entire country, holding seminars and things like that, or calling people to come and give reasons as to why states or whatever is supposed to be created. And again, they will be talking about amending the Constitution. And I think I have got to know about this, not just in this 10th Assembly, but it happened in the 9th, it happened in the 8th, it happened in the 7th, it happened in the 6th, and all the way. Is it a jamboree of making money? Or what? What is wrong with the present constitution that someone feels it is better for us to amend this? Otherwise, I don't see the justification behind that, Chief Peter Ame. For every assembly that comes on board like the way it is, they will talk about amending the constitution. Today, they have just concluded, to harmonize from the House of Representatives issues relating to having a constitution, a new constitution in this country, by equally talking about women having an act of having a number of them representative in either the National Assembly or the State Assembly. I don't really understand. Is that one of the ways of having good governance in this country? With this constitutional amendment coming up at every point in time when there is an assembly on stage.
This constitutional amendment has become a hollow ritual and habitual repetition that is not even helping our constitution. It has watered down the potency of our constitution because there's no way. Go and search around. No country every 4 years election cycle review its constitution and then re-amend it. We are about the 5th alteration so far. So how many alterations are we going to have before our country become 100 years old? It is not done anywhere. You can't continue with this level of alteration. So when our country becomes 200 years old, we would have had 250 alterations of our constitution. The laws we have are enough to make this country work. And that's why you have judiciary. The judiciary is supposed to be the balance side. And if there are any other place to control, the National Assembly are supposed to make other, legislative backing and laws, not the amendment of the Constitution. This is watering down the authority of the 1999 Constitution. It would have been better if we sit down and take the National Conference or do a new National Conference and have a new Constitution from beginning to the end than from these continuous rituals that have, continued to, waste money on. People are now using it as a cycle of spending that is unnecessary, that would have been used for other positive investment. Because if you look at the budget and the cost that is spent on going from one region to the other, you will marvel at what they are doing with our resources. So, and these have become the only way the Deputy Speaker, the Deputy Senate President, how they are now in charge of it. This is like one of their principal functions when they are elected as deputies in the two chambers. So this is not what it's not right for our country. I do not think our laws are problem. I think the implementers of our laws are the problem. The handlers of our laws are the problem. Those who are supposed to make sure that our laws work for our people are the one manipulating it. You have, for instance, you do an electoral act for an election, and the election comes up, and you go to court, and the court reinterpret another thing. So are you going to be amending every time that our court
like in a situation whereby the last person will not become the person to be given the mandate to lead.
Become the first person, or when they say 25% in FCT is no longer required. These are the challenges of our law. It's not about, we need to have principled people who will be in government, people who respect the Constitution. Because if you continue to amend the Constitution, in fact, the more disrespect people will continue to have for it. Exactly. You can't make it a ritual. You can't make it become an hollow ritual. That have disrespected our Constitution.
Honestly, Chief Peter Ame, I really enjoyed speaking with you. I must confess, your analyses were apt, and of course, you were up to the point of what is required for a country to move forward. I must really appreciate you deeply. No wonder you actually became the chairman of IPAC. I must appreciate you, sir.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, next time it will be better for you to be in the studio so that we're able to see our faces and talk to ourselves the way it should be and embrace each other, and the people will know basically that this is Peter.
I assure you next time I will be with you.
I appreciate you greatly, sir.
Thank you very much, my brother.
Yeah. Well, that's how far we can go on Big Talk on Global TV. Of course, I had in the studio via WhatsApp call a respected Nigerian, a politician, an educationist, as a matter of fact, in the person of Chief Peter Ame, who at a point was the former chairman IPAC and equally the current secretary of CUPP. I appreciate him for whatever he said on this program. Big Talk, it's a program. I'll come to you again tomorrow with yet another personality. Do always stay tuned. I will give you the issues that are required for you to know in the country. My name again is Topsy Gimba, sitting in for my colleague, Obong Usoro. News comes your way as soon as the curtains are drawn. Bye-bye and see you again.